Right, consider this scenario. You show up to class, you're absolutely famished, and you walk in the room and you say, "Oh my gosh, did anybody bring any food to class today? I'm starving." And somebody in class pipes up and they say, "Hey, either Pete brought donuts to class today or Jenny brought beef jerky to class today." And you'd recognize in your mind right away, it's like, aha, this person just made a disjunctive statement and I can represent that symbolically using a wedge. I wonder if what this person said is true. And so you look over at Pete and you look at Jenny and here's what you discover. Pete brought the donuts to class today, but Jenny's shaking her head and saying, "It's not true that I brought the beef jerky to class today." Would you feel in that situation that the person who told you that either Pete brought the donuts or Jenny brought the beef jerky lied to you? And I would say no. He said either Pete was going to do this or Jenny was going to do this. Pete did it. Good enough for me. I think I was told the truth. Now, what about in this situation? You look over, Pete shaking his head, didn't bring the donuts, sorry. Jenny says, "Oh, that's all right, I brought the beef jerky." Okay, it's true, I bought the beef jerky. Again, I wouldn't feel lied to. I was told that either he would do it or she would do it, and she did it. Therefore, I feel like I was told the truth. Now, what about in this situation, though? You're told that either Pete brought the donuts or Jenny brought the beef jerky, and you look at both of them, and they're both shaking their heads like, "Sorry, didn't come through. It's false that I brought donuts. It's false that I brought beef jerky." And in that case, I'd feel like the person who told me that either Pete brought the donuts or Jenny brought the beef jerky, I would feel like they lied to me. They told me something that wasn't true. In other words, the sentence they uttered was a false sentence. But now, what about this? He tells you that either Pete brought the donuts or Jenny brought the beef jerky, and you look at the two of them, and they're both saying like, "I came through. Pete's got the donuts, Jenny's got the beef jerky." Would you feel like the person who told you that either Pete brought the donuts or Jenny brought the beef jerky is a liar? Would you deem them to be untrustworthy if it was true that Pete brought the donuts and Jenny brought the beef jerky? And I would submit to you, no. Even though in ordinary common language, when we say either A or B, we're typically implying that it's only one of those. Strictly logically speaking, it would seem unfair to judge this person who's made this claim about Pete and Jenny to be saying something false just because they both brought the items that they were claimed to have brought. Okay, and you do this all the time in your ordinary life. You have your friend says, "Oh, what are you guys doing tonight?" And you're like, "I don't know. We'll probably either go over to Humbrew's or APD, Arcade Pizza Deli." And then the next day, your friend says, "So what did you guys end up doing last night? Did you go to Humbrew's or did you go to APD?" And you say, "Oh, we went to both. We went and had a beer over at Humbrew's, and then we walked over and got a slice of pizza at APD." Would you feel like that person lied to you the day before when they said they were either going to go to Humbrew's or APD and then ended up going to both? No, you just shrug your shoulders and say, "Oh yeah, so you were considering options and you decided to take both options." And that's kind of represented here on line 4. Now, there's something interesting that we see going on here. Do you notice what it is? A wedge statement is true anytime one or both sides of the wedge are true. Okay, so anytime the two statements on each side of the wedge are true, the whole wedge is true. And anytime at least one of them is true, the wedge is true. But the only way for a wedge statement to be false is right here on line 3, and that's when the statements on both sides of the wedge are false. And what we're seeing here is the rule of inclusive disjunction. You can kind of see it represented here in what's called our truth table, and we'll talk more about that later on. But this is a representation of two statements being connected by a wedge. And we see here that the only way for that kind of a statement to be false, for the main operator to be false, is when what appears on both sides of the wedge are false statements. It's sort of the opposite of what we saw with conjunction, right? The only way for a conjunctive statement, a dot, to be true is if both sides are true. Anytime one side or the other is false, the whole dot is false. The main operator dot is false. And it's sort of the opposite here with the wedge. Anytime at least one statement is true, one or both statements are true, the entire wedge is true. Now, this doesn't hold for what's called exclusive disjunction. Okay, when we have the same statement, P, being joined with a wedge, and one side of the wedge is the negation of the other. So if I say to you something like, "It's either raining outside or it's not raining outside," okay, that statement is always going to be true. There's no way for it to be false. And you can see that if you kind of look carefully at this truth table. If I say to you, "Hey, it's either raining outside or it's not raining outside," and you look outside and you see rain falling, Well, then my first statement here on the left-hand side of the horseshoe would be true, okay? Which would make the wedge true. But if you look outside and you think like, you said it's either raining or it's not raining, and I just looked outside and it's false that it's raining, well, I told you. It's either raining or it's not raining, and it's not raining. Tilde P. It's not raining. So what I told you is true. Either it's raining or it's not raining. So this represents the rule of inclusive and the rule of exclusive disjunction.